and welcome. I am your host, Giselle Bria, and this is Tales of a Survivor, a new talk show based on true stories from victims of abuse and how they overcame and survived. Over the course of this season, you will hear stories and raise awareness of abuse in all its forms. But most importantly, we want to highlight individuals who have survived and inspire this way those living in abuse. There are ways to be set free. This program is brought to you by the GNN Project, an organization where I'm the CEO and founder, along with my co-host and co-founder, Lisandra Velasquez, aka La Nena.
That's right. How you guys doing? It's definitely a pleasure to be here. I'm proud to be a part of this GNN Project. We have come together as strong women.
That's right.
Because
we have encounter in our lives. And joining us today is our friend and also a survivor, Jannette Dz Rdgz. Hi, Jannette. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Thank you guys for having me here and speak about my story. Hopefully, I should shed some light with the domestic abuse, child abuse, and hopefully we can help people out there.
Mm-hmm. I want to thank you for really taking your time to speak about it. I know a lot of people are suffering and abuse, and just to speak on it is like a taboo kind of thing. Like, people don't want to talk about it. So I really thank you for speaking out. I know you don't speak about it often because I do know you, for quite some time, and I really, really appreciate the fact that you are racist. So let's start from the beginning. When did it all start? Because I know it's a cycle.
Well, my story basically began when I was a child. So I'm a product of child abuse, where I was molested and sodomized at the age of 6. And it took me a long time to actually realize what had actually happened to me. My parents, my mom, actually tried to keep it from me, thinking that she was doing me a favor.
When you say keep it, what do you mean keep it?
For most of my young life, I knew something had happened to me.
Oh, you remember?
Because I remember certain flashbacks. I remember going to court. I remember speaking to the lawyers. I remember speaking to the judges. But I used to ask my mom, and she used to tell me nothing happened.
But when you used to ask your mom, what exactly did you ask her? I mean, as a 6 years old, I know maybe it was a vague memory.
No, it was, I guess I sort of blocked it, but you sort of get flashbacks. And I used to sort of ask my mom, and remember, we were brought up in the island in Puerto Rico. And the way that my family was raised, we were very strict and very structured. So there's certain things I guess the family don't use. I don't know if my mother was sort of embarrassed of what had happened, or probably the taboo that the people, our neighbors may say. You understand? It didn't happen.
Do you know if maybe she went through it?
I tend to hear certain stories, but I can't really speak on my mom, whether she did or not. Mm-hmm. But I remember growing up that this had happened. Something had happened to me. Most of my young life, I used to see social workers. And I used to actually speak about it. I used to cry myself to sleep. I used to see certain things. I didn't trust people. I didn't trust men around me. And so it took me a long time to actually face what had happened to me. Anyone that will come to me, even at, let's say, my 20s or something like that, a person that will come and actually tell me, I was a victim of rape. I was a victim of sodomy. Oh, this person did this harm. I had to question that, because a person that goes through something so traumatic like that, you can't speak about it.
That's right, you keep that to yourself.
And I think because what had happened to me when I was younger, it sort of created like these fears in me and this insecurities in me that, dictated what my lifespan or what my experiences are going to be. I remember when I was a child and seeing my mom, because my mom was a victim of domestic violence. And I remember my mom fighting with my dad, and I used to say, that would never happen to me, because I knew in the back of my mind someone had hurt me. But they used to tell me, no, it didn't happen.
Subconsciously.
Yeah, I knew something
They were
had
trying to make you
happened.
forget.
And as a matter of fact, my case in Puerto Rico was one of the first cases that they actually started listening to the testimony of children. Obviously, you're not going to see my name, but it's like 1979, I believe it is. 1977.
I mean, kids are not going to talk about somebody did something to me if it didn't happen.
Right, but back in the
Especially
day,
like that.
yeah, but back in the day, they really didn't take the child's voice.
Yeah.
It didn't count.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, fast forward, you know, I created this insecurities within me. And I got married at a young age, and I was a victim of domestic abuse. But because my family, I didn't want to shame my family, and I wanted to go back home, I would feel like my family would say like I was some sort of disappointment. So I endured a couple of years of domestic violence. But me being, you know, a young bride, I fought back. I actually fought back. And then when I actually got out of that relationship, I couldn't take it anymore. You know, I tried to always like do my best, like, whether in school, in my academics. I always tried to do better so my family or my mom could say, oh, she's okay, she's. I was trying to always prove myself. Then what happens? I remarry again. And I endured verbal abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse. Right now I should have a 14-year-old daughter, and because of one of the beatings, you know, I had a stillborn child. You know, I've forgiven the unforgivable, because I was afraid that my family will look at me like, oh, it's a failure. Or maybe not my family, but maybe I think I did it wrong, because I didn't want my kids, my men, because I'm trying to raise 2 men, I didn't want them to see their mom spiraling from relationship to relationship.
But wouldn't you think it would be worse having your boys witnessing abuse?
Well, at the time that was happening, my mind wasn't quite there. I'm thinking I was helping my kids, like, they're not going to see their mom going from relationship to relationship.
Okay.
But within that relationship, I lost my identity. I didn't know who I was. And I tried my best. I mean, I really tried my best.
Once you start worried, trying to please everybody, because what you were saying, you was too worried about people not to look at you a certain way. That's the problem we do. We stay stuck on that. So we too worried about what they're looking at and how they look at us.
That's how she lost her identity, because she was just more busy. Understand the way, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, the way I see it is, you know, you went through that. Like you said, you was one of the first cases in Puerto Rico to be treated for, you know, child abuse. Now, here you are, you're a young bride, you go through abuse again. Your family's telling you this didn't happen. So you're trying to prove yourself. That's why the insecurity is taking place. Sometimes as mothers, you know, and I'm quite sure she did it with the best interest, because like you said, she was a victim of domestic violence. And it's all a cycle. And again, this is why whatever we do, we focus on the mothers, because the mothers have to be strong in order for them to be a better parent for their child. That's why the GNN is all about amending families, all about working, empowering women, and about the kids. Now, let me ask you something. Because I know when you gave birth to your stillbirth, you was there by yourself.
Yes, I was there by myself. I remember, like, day before, my ex, he beat me so much. He beat me so badly that I was bleeding. Actually, my aunt was there. It was sort of an embarrassment. Yeah, it's like my family. It's like, I mean, he was even arrested, and like a week before, and I didn't call the cops. My family didn't call the cops. But I guess the neighbors were just so tired.
Yeah, somebody else
of hearing this abuse, and then it's like, I don't want to be embarrassed of always, the arguing and stuff like that, what people would say. But the mental games that he played, and it's one incident that, I think about it and I just cry. And it was in the beginning of the relationship. Now, I've never heard certain words spoken to me. And when my grandmother was alive, I actually walked in my apartment. And how can you hide? You're walking into your apartment, and all your walls are written with these unspeakable words.
Oh, wow. No,
I've never, because in our family, we weren't raised that way. We were raised very proper and very,
Catholic.
all the families have dysfunctions and stuff like that. It's normal. But we were brought up very strict. And I walk into my apartment with my grandmother, and they actually seen these obscenities, in large brown oil paint letters, all my walls. And my grandmother's face was just such a disappointment. She was just like,
wow.
I remember that. Because how your family tends to ask certain things. I'm like, no, you're telling me I'm fine. Nothing's happening.
That's what we usually say.
You put that mask
what do you
on.
have here? Oh, I hit myself in the wall.
I know.
Oh, what happened? Oh, I tripped and fell.
I punched myself in the face.
I have a cousin of mine that actually once we went out on an outing, and I wish I would have brought the pictures, but my whole entire body was bruised. My whole entire body was bruised. There was no